There were many warnings about this crypto crash, but most ignored it. So you've got two choices right now. You can keep making the same mistakes, or you can finally listen to what the charts are showing you and see how smart money is positioning for the next big move. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. We'll start with Bitcoin, then we're going to talk about some of the major altcoins. We're also going to have a quick look at all of these top indicators that people have been going on and on about for the last few months. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name's Sajad. I've been trading for a very, very long time. This is my third crypto cycle now. And if you've seen my recent videos, you'll know that I've been warning you that a massive crash is looming, and a lot of the major altcoins I think already topped, as I mentioned, in some in 2024, some earlier this year as well. And so far that's been proven to be the case, but let's see how it goes over the next couple of months. First of all, Bitcoin. I did argue whether we had already seen a top in Bitcoin. Now, people talk about Bitcoin dominance. What basically that means is when Bitcoin kind of holds near its all-time highs, kind of comes off highs a little bit, but in terms of the whole market cap of all cryptocurrency, the amount, the percentage that is Bitcoin actually reduces. And in previous cycles, what's happened is when that comes down a little bit, all other altcoins, so all other coins, alts, they can run. Now, people are just assuming everything's just happening the same again. Bitcoin dominance drops and all of these altcoins run. But what they're missing is the very important point that I've discussed many, many times. And that important point is altcoins did run. They've been running for many years now. Ever since the end of 2022, they've had their next cycle. It's happened. A lot of them are well off the highs we saw in kind of mid 2024. Some of them peaked in Jan 25, and we'll go through some of those as well. This cycle has happened. Alt season idiots. But in this video, I'm not going to spend half the video critiquing alt season heroes on here, because it's a waste of time. It's better you learn the important things you need to know right now. So whether you think there's an alt season looming or banana zone coming up, I can't help you with any of that. Like, if you believe in all that rubbish, then carry on. But before we discuss the majors, I just want you to think a little bit, just a little bit of thought now, and have a look at, let's say, for example, Solana, which is one of the major altcoins in terms of market cap. And what we saw in January was we saw where it peaked at 300 and it came down, and then it looks like it's very likely made a corrective move up. So at some point, it's going to take out these lows again. Now, the thing is, if you go on to some of the indices, so this is the stock market now. The stock market has been rallying like crazy and has not even had, kind of barely a dip since April. And if you zoom out even further, it's still making all-time highs. Now, some people might think, well, that's a reason to be optimistic for cryptocurrency. It's not. It's the opposite. Think about it. So when the S&P finally does cave in and has some massive correction, what do you think is going to happen with your cryptocurrency? When Bitcoin has a massive correction, what do you think is going to happen with your cryptocurrency, with the altcoins? It's not what you think or what other people are saying. Your altcoins are going to crash worse than anything you've ever seen before, even though they're already 90% or so down. So the only hope for Solana was, when you look at wave structure, is if this was a nest of kind of 1-2s. And this is, it's already dipped under 200 now. So that's kind of been, it's so unlikely now. It's much, much more likely that this is all corrective move. Now, you just might get some mess here. That can happen too. It's a correction. It's very, very hard to predict when it will end, how far it will go, how much it will push up. Very difficult. But so far, in terms of kind of fib levels from high to low, we've retraced 786. Much higher than I was expecting, actually. I was expecting about 220 or so. And then the other thing, again, I've warned this in recent videos, is when crypto crashes, it just goes down in a straight line. It's really like, it's kind of scary how it happens, but that's just the way it is. So from, in literally 2-3 days, 25%, and in another 2-3 days, it could easily go a lot more than that. That's just how crypto crashes. And that's why I said in the last video, if you're unsure, if it's looking a bit sketchy for some of these altcoins, just go wait on the sidelines. You don't have to be in altcoins all the time, waiting for moonshots to occur. This is completely normal. When you look on Twitter right now, everybody's panicking, but this kind of correction is completely normal. And you can see this guy Ansem says, why when coins go down, do they go down so vertically? This is normal. This is how it happens. And even this guy has been calling for a top recently, but this is after a lot of the analysts have mentioned this, for several months now. The signs have been there, have been pretty obvious for a while. Minus the odd scam pump like Ethereum. Nobody's using Ethereum more than they were in 2021. No chance. Like, this was just a scam pump, double top. This is all clearly corrective. I don't see how this, doesn't completely dump from here. AVAX, another major coin, exactly the same. This corrective move, this is another corrective move. So again, it's pushed up a little bit more than even I was expecting, but it could be done now. There were some vaguely bullish ones like Pengu that had a decent run, but things have dumped too much now. And it's literally going vertically down. I don't see any signs of it stopping. And this could be a leading kind of diagonal there for an A wave, B wave. So this could go, well, if you look at fib levels, it could go down a lot lower before we even get a little bit of a bounce. It's through 618, so it could go all the way up to 1-to-1, 0.0207, all the way here before we get any meaningful bounce. And then that's the next question. When will we get a bounce? Anytime things go down in a straight line, you have to get a bounce along the way. They're called bear market rallies. So, for example, FET has been in a bear market for a year and a half now. And in that bear market, it does some rallies. And here you can see it's been teetering sideways for a long, long time. It's finally broken through that. So at some point overnight, what's going to happen? I mean, I'm in Europe. So the annoying thing is, even to try and get short trades in, it's not easy, because it seems a lot of the dumping is happening in Eastern Asian trading time, so overnight, so you don't even really see it. So kind of like midnight, 1 in the morning my time, till 6 a.m, everything dumps 10%, and then in the morning kind of European session, it kind of goes sideways, and in the US, you're just waiting to see what kind of scam they run. The biggest criminal in cryptocurrency by miles is CZ, like, is not even close. And some of the stuff he's been saying recently, just to try and kind of pump the market finally in these last stages or these last few days, when it still has a little bit of life. It's pretty hilarious, to be honest with you. But never ever follow what this guy is saying or trust anything he's saying. And then you get loads of these posts where, all these top finders and stuff. This is meaningless data. I actually looked through all of these and concluded, I went through them literally one by one, all of these rainbow charts and pi cycle indicators, all of them complete rubbish. Because they did not correlate. Nothing in the data correlated in this cycle with what we were actually seeing in terms of price action. So these are useless, completely useless indicators. This is probably still saying 100% hold. I always go back to basic TA, and we haven't got a crystal ball. It's not going to be perfect or anything, but it kind of does give you an idea of when things are cooling down. And the only indicators I use apart from literally looking at the charts and looking at the structure, is where did various altcoins top, so the timings, when were the lows, how long we've been running for, so kind of the 4-year cycle, and also I look at basic kind of social media attention. Where were the peaks? I look at Google Trends. Where were the peaks in terms of meme coin interest, in terms of interest in Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum? Where were the peaks? Where were the peaks in terms of YouTube? In terms of interest in my videos and other people's videos? And the data is very, very clear on this. Like, there's nothing to interpret here. It's pretty obvious that a lot of the peak of the cycle was December, Jan, just gone. Like 2024, Jan 2025. Very, very obvious. And we've been on the cool down ever since. The same way it was in early 2022. Those first few months where we were kind of cooling down after the peaks. But like I said, the scary thing is I think we've topped, definitely in nearly all altcoins and possibly Bitcoin as well. But the scary thing is that the stock market hasn't really moved and hasn't really dipped yet. When stocks dip seriously, then all of this is going to get dragged down a lot. So I would be very, very careful if I were you. How do you look for bounces? Like when things are going vertically down like this, like I've zoomed out here onto Chainlink. So first thing to know, even if you look from December 2024, like this is very recent now. We're just talking a few months ago to April lows. It had no problem dumping 70%, but this was over a longer period of time, let's say 2-3 months. But even then, there were periods where in just a few days, it would dump, 20% or so. It's now doing the same thing. So where can it bounce? What you want to do is add a few indicators that can help you in terms of momentum. The main ones are RSI and MACD. Best charts to use, they are daily chart, 4-hourly charts. They're the best. So daily, or if you click here, 4-hourly. Main reason for that is they're commonly used by everybody else when it comes to looking at longer term swing trades. So if everybody else is looking at the same kind of indicators and data, they hold a little bit more powerful. And what you're looking for here is basically once you get these dips, so these lower low peaks, you're looking at what the momentum indicators are showing you. And what you're looking for is divergence. So they don't kind of follow what's happening in price action. Price action is literally these candles. This is price action. These are momentum indicators. And what likely will happen is, let's say we get one more low, which is very, very possible, another sharp low. Momentum here could be going the opposite way. So the RSI could make a higher reading. And then you get something that's called triple divergence. So lower lows 3 times and higher lows 3 times on RSI MACD. And then what we'll get is a bounce. But this doesn't change the really important points that we've busted through key levels now. So at best, all it's going to be is a little bear market rally. Even in bear market rallies, you can make decent profits, sometimes 30%, 40%. Rarely going to be more than that. And very likely it's going to dump again. But this is a trader's market now. It's very volatile, great opportunity for traders, long or short. Be very careful with leverage. Stick to spot trading if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing with leverage, remember, if you're trading with leverage and you're putting in stop losses and take profit targets, you don't need to panic like everybody else does with leverage trading, because you've got clear points where it will close your position. There's none of this liquidation risk and just holding forever, waiting to see if you get liquidated. You hear all the time on Twitter, people getting liquidated for millions and millions of dollars. No, I have no clue how it happens. You just have to set up your stop losses. These are points where you believe you'll be wrong in your theory or your idea, trading idea. So this is SUI. One trading idea here was, obviously one way to look at it is what I've said many times, it's just an ABC move and we tag the highs. So we do this little fake out, very, very common, and then we dump. The other way to look at it was that this was a 1-2-1-2. So we're nesting and gaining momentum to then create another massive move. But both of these were failed kind of breakouts to the upside. So it never really worked out. So it's very, very likely now we're heading lower. And as soon as price moves down here towards these June lows on a lot of altcoins, the chance of us going all the way below kind of March lows and stuff is approaching 100%. Like, that's how it works with TA. I'll give you some examples. This is Tau. You can see June lows, we're already there now. And actually even this move, it didn't even create a new high like I showed you on the last video. So very, very likely the whole move is, going to be challenged here. Let's have a look at another one. XRP is another very popular altcoin with a large market cap. Forever been sitting on this support, 275 support. And what do we see when things dump? I've mentioned this in videos before. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Like, this isn't sudden. Those people who are now suddenly calling tops, this isn't sudden. This has been going on for a while. Now, you can absolutely get fake outs here. And what happens with fake outs is, well, there's sometimes good trading opportunities. What happens is you just break below and then the market kind of scam pumps. And we have this little rally that doesn't last very long, but just takes out a lot of stop losses for people who are short in the market, for example. But then that's still going to dump more than likely afterwards. This is altcoin interest over the last 12 months worldwide. Notice the massive peak and straight back down. What is that telling you? What I'm going to do with this is go back to where the kind of cycle began actually, which was around November 2022. And here in this cycle, we can clearly see there was a March peak where a lot of altcoins had peaked. One in December, January, which we talked about already. And then actually a much higher altcoin peak here. It's crazy that the interest was so high recently, but that's the situation for altcoins. For crypto, in terms of general interest, very, very similar chart. Meme coins, for comparison's sake, notice January when Solana had peaked. That was the highest figure there, and then a smaller peak around August, and now interest completely died off. Why is this useful? How can I backtest this? Well, altcoins, going back further, you can see the peaks in April, May 2021, and another peak in November 2021, which coincided with actual peaks in the previous cycle. Some of the ones I talked about earlier in the year, which look quite bullish, are, I think, done now. As I said in the last video, I think hype was done. And this area above here was the kind of fake out area. And now it's literally vertical straight line down. So it's down 30 odd % in a short period of time. Not the most clear-cut indicators ever, but yeah, you can see at these two peaks, divergence the other way, bearish divergence. Pump was the other one I talked about. I thought it'd have a really good rally. It did have a really good rally, but also done. Broken through many support levels now, and this is not going to recover. So what happens at this stage of the cycle? Like, a lot of you are brand new. At this stage of the cycle, the biggest criminals like CZ and, other kind of owners of various exchanges, blockchains, altcoins, stuff like that, they come out and they're extremely bullish on everything. They're trying to keep a lid on it, telling everybody to buy dips every day. I honestly think this is scandalous because they know what's going on. So I'll actually go further. I know that they know that, all of crypto is a bit of a scam, to be honest. It's a massive Ponzi. Most of you have been experiencing in it for a while, know that too. And we're just trading the Ponzi, really. And if there's enough, that's why everybody kept going on and on about when retail, hey, I'm going to sell to retail. You guys were the retail. There was no proper retail this time. There was only a tiny bit that I remember in December or January. New people who were coming into kind of meme coins and altcoins and stuff like that. All right, so Sajad, you've told us everything's going to dump. You've been saying it for a while. It's starting to dump now. It may dump a lot more. Let's see how it goes. Where's the opportunity? What do we do? Right, talk about that. So learn from this cycle, first of all. If this is indeed the end of the cycle, what have we seen previous times? We've seen previous times that we get a dump. Everything gets very panicky because at the moment, the news I still see on Twitter every day is very bullish. They're using Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin on Apple iMessages and blah, blah, blah. Everything's still, bullishy, which usually happens at our top. So more people can get trapped and sucked in before it all inevitably dumps. But what you're looking for is what happened in 2022. Hopefully nothing as extreme. And I don't think it will be as extreme. But the opportunity here was only 12 months later. And it might be less. It might be only kind of six to 8 months later, but you'll get the opportunity to buy things at lows. But when I say things at lows, I mean one thing at the low. One, literally just one. The only thing left, whole of cryptocurrency worth buying. If you have $1 to your name, you're better off buying Bitcoin rather than any altcoin or meme coin. I can't believe I'm saying that. That's what the charts are showing you. Like, this is not the time when Solana is going to dip down and do something. As I said in previous videos, I think Solana and Ethereum are just going to range. Ethereum mostly range downwards, Solana probably sideways. Next cycle, it might do what Ethereum did, was go really low and run back to 250, 300, and then call it a day. That's all we're going to get out of it. Now, obviously, in the next cycle, you're going to look for new things, new coins, new shiny things, trade them all up, have a good time. That's all short-lived. But in terms of your spot, long-term, whole of the cycle holding, is none of this garbage. Never ever. None of this crap. It's only going to be Bitcoin. It's the only one where it can, like history has shown, and now because it's, so many institutions are involved now and stuff like that, that the dip is going to be probably lower. My guess, if in the next few months we do get, a decent dip, I'm looking more in the 60 to 80k area for Bitcoin. And then for a next push-up. At the push-up, you're not going to get the ROI. It's not going to be like this time where it went from 15. It's diminishing in returns. Again, I'm just stating the obvious looking at previous cycles. We can't just start inventing things and start saying, oh, it's an 8-year cycle, it's a 2-year cycle, or wherever we feel like, just because our bags are going down. Don't do that. Like, just look at what's been happening. Look at what the returns were this time. Look at what's still in a bullish uptrend all these years. This must be the only coin that's been around for so many cycles that's still going upwards. It's very easy to prove. You look at any of the other older coins, you look at Link, for example, you zoom right out, so we can go right to a monthly chart. What are we trading here? This is nonsense. Like, what are we even doing? This is waste of time rubbish. That's not going to make you any money. The move was here, when there was only like 10 altcoins in the entire world, you actually did something. But not now when there's, 30 or 40 million crypto coins? Guys, it's all a massive scam. The only thing worth holding is Bitcoin that will actually go up, and any other new stuff. Like I say, always focus on the new stuff, every cycle. And the reason for that, the reason we've been talking about Pengu and Pump is why? Because they're new. So they have attention. And when they have attention and not many eyes on it, there's a kind of overload of attention more than the price. So you get this nice little rally and pump. You always get dumping at the beginning. VCs or early investors just want to flip and stuff like that. So you get that dump. And again, when pump did this move, I was telling everybody about it on Twitter and here on YouTube. It's not about right or wrong. It's just my point I'm making is I base this on previous launches of ApeCoin, Kaito, Pengu. This is not random guesswork here. All of them follow this same path. They all dumped at the beginning, not like immediately. First few hours you get a little scam pump, but then over days to weeks after, they all dumped. Then they all did the bottoming process. Then they all had a nice little rally, and then they were all forgotten about forever. That was the end of the coin, like most meme coins. This is based on looking at previous coins. Stick to the charts, look at the coins. If you zoom out on a monthly or weekly chart, which I recommend, and your altcoin looks like trash, so for example, let's pick a trash coin and let's go out to a weekly chart. Does this altcoin look like trash? If yes, why are you trading it for? What is this? You might as well just burn your money because that's all you're doing here. Most of crypto is noise. Very little is signal. Stick to signal and stick to these important data points. Do your own research. Follow people who know what they're talking about, who've been around for a few cycles. Don't follow people too much anyway. You could do it for entertainment, but who are blindly bullish every day, waiting for alt seasons to happen. I mean, it makes me want to cry now watching some of this stuff. But anyway, don't do that. When we do get the next run, that's the sad part. Even then, these clowns aren't going to get their alt season because all of this stuff is dead now. It's just new coins and Bitcoin that will run in the next move up. Some of these will get a little bit of a bounce. But again, what has the data shown you? The data is showing you that every time now, this is like, for example, August, September, we had a bit of a meme coin run. And then we had a bit of a tiny bounce when Trump came in. Then we had that bit of the April bounce. Every bounce is getting weaker and weaker in these coins. No EV there. It's not worth it for you. You're not going to make any kind of returns. You could have made a 2x or more there. Now you're barely making 10-20% on a pump. And you're risking holding this garbage that could dump 50% on you in 2-3 days. It's not worth it in terms of risk reward. Think like a trader. Move like a trader. Jump in and out of opportunities. Sit in stables most of the time, especially towards the end of these cycles. Guys, if any of this is resonating with you from trader perspective and setting up short-term trades, let me know, because more and more in the channel now, I'm actually going to do live trading, perps, and I'm going to show you how I look for setups, how I take profit, how I set up the stop losses, and how I use market conditions to help me kind of week by week, because week by week, it kind of changes a little bit. But there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the next few months if you're prepared to trade within the volatility and if you've got time to trade. But if it's spot holding, I'd be very, very careful right now. Thanks for listening.